Good evening. This is good. It's been a while. It's been since the winter solstice, my last podcast. Things have been really busy with me, but we're at another turn in the seasons to spring coming upon us in 5 days. This is March the 15th, and the spring equinox is coming very soon. So I wanted to do a new podcast because there's a lot that's happened over the past few months, and there's a lot of desperate souls on the planet who so I'm an intuitive, and I would say there's really no reason. I can see on the level of 3D, three dimensions, why somebody would be desperate, especially if they wanted Trump to be elected and they live in the United States, but and they're concerned about a lack of freedoms and things like that. But I just don't think it's necessary. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the reasons why and a lot of other information. Again, this may run a little long, but I always like to start by getting in the moment. So let's take a few deep breaths. And this gets us in a different frame of reference and frame of mind to receive spiritual information. Whatever movement feels comfortable for you to receive this information. If you do yoga, if you do Tai Chi, I invite you into this beautiful space of contentment. You belong here with me. Souls in alignment belong together to chart the course for human history and our future course on this planet. Open your soul. And this, I'm sorry, I'm getting all kinds of pop-ups on my computer. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is a message on the spring equinox for 2021. Not to be confused with the spring update for 2020, a year ago, which right when coronavirus started, and a whole lot of other stuff started. So that one is also out there on YouTube and BitChute. I'll probably will leave this up on YouTube just because I don't have any strikes. I don't really have enough viewers to have strikes, so that's probably the reason why. But I would it's mainly on BitChute. BitChute is have a channel. Okay, so I want to give you an intuitive version of the events of the past year. I see it real clearly at a football game. I didn't understand it or see it completely clearly while it was happening, but I saw the football game kind of as a period of quarters, with each of the seasons being a quarter. In other words, the start of it all was coronavirus, the spring equinox of 2020, and from that period to the summer solstice last year was the first quarter, and then to the fall equinox was the second quarter, and then into the winter solstice, that period of the election was the third quarter, and finally up to this spring equinox. So by that logic, we're in the home stretch right now. We're in the last few minutes of the game. However, of course, there's sometimes overtime, but I don't really see this whole game for humanity playing out and much longer. As an intuitive, and other intuitives I've heard from have said similar things. Okay, so real quick on that, my own opinion of what's happening in this game is you've got this first quarter when coronavirus hit off spring of 2020. Boy, they hit us like a hammer. Nobody was expecting coronavirus. They hit us like a complete hammer. We were in lockdowns, we were in masks, and I think clearly the old power structures of the planet won that first quarter, because not only did they have that, they also had the George Floyd riots and all the knocking down statues. That was also before the summer solstice. So, two big scores. There's no other way for me to see that. The one good thing that happened for the Alliance and the Patriots, not just the Patriots of America, but the Patriots of the planet, because I remember women from Africa talking about this. England, this is a worldwide battle. It's not America anymore. Okay. The victory for the Alliance and the Patriots, the people, let's call it we the people on that team, versus the old power structures of the planet. The victory with the spring within that first quarter was the exposure of Bill Gates and the whole vaccine agenda and all the 5G that just got launched out there. Okay, so but clearly the old power structures were in the lead at the end of the first quarter, I believe. The second quarter being the summer solstice going to the fall equinox in July and August, right? And most of September. Well, what happened, they tried to do the riots and kind of stagnated a little bit on that. So they came with the fires, and that was not going to work. Whatever the Alliance did to stop that. So I think that was a stalemate up until the point where the Alliance dropped these bombs, and there's no other way to see it for me other than that these were Alliance drops. Information, Wayfair scandal, pedophilia, and you had tons of people from California, and I have videos on this around that time frame. I was doing all this stuff and referencing these videos, probably have been taken down by now. But these are we the people that are out marching for pedophilia. I remember people from East LA that said that they were older Hispanics from in East LA, traditional Hispanic neighborhood. And they said, no, we never voted Republican. They said, dude, we're here for the pedophilia. That's why we're supporting Trump at this time. And I just feel like that was a godsend. That was when I was starting to get dreams about the pedophilia and how bad it was, and the underground military bases. Now, thank God that is starting to come out now in the fourth quarter. But back to the second quarter, I think the Alliance won that. So I think we tied it up by the end of the halftime. Then we were into the third quarter, and that was when Trump lost the election. He tried to go through the court route, and that was all lost. But we didn't really lose the election. His intuitives would say Trump killed it. I mean, we killed it. We did not lose the election. We had it taken away from us. It was stolen. And that's my intuitive belief. That's what I have been shown by Spirit. So in my mind, that is not in my heart and in my heart-brain coherence, that is not controversial. And I guess I would say that third quarter was probably lost by the Alliance. But around that time, Lynn Wood started to expose the pedophilia. And the other thing that was great about that is media basically became disbanded, because the Patriots left in mass and created a massive alternative platforms, NTD News, Newsmax, Epoch Times blowing up, and just us Patriots blowing up with our channels like SGT Report. I mean, so many amazing channels, David Rodriguez, Scott McKay, so many wonderful people, wonderful Patriots who each bring their own slice of pie, a unique experience to the battle. And I can't say the third quarter was won by the old power structures. I think that was a real battle. But now on to the fourth quarter after the January And you're talking about, wow, what do we have now? All the pedophilia, all the stuff of the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases that I had dreams about, is coming out now in mass. And the Draco reptilians, which I did a video on, that is coming out now. It's crazy. There was just a whistleblower that died. Michael Sala did an interview, and I'll link to that, with a lady who had interviewed this whistleblower from Area 51, and then shortly after he was murdered, talking about the Draco reptilians and the Greys as well. So it's becoming real, because for the first time on this planet, you have a massive amount of the population who is red-pilled of the real details, the DUMBs and all the pedophilia, satanic pedophilia, the vampire behavior, the adrenochrome, all of that, blackmailing. And then over here you have, I guess, I don't know too many people anymore that are still watching the mainstream media, but some of them are, and they're at this point you're just completely clued out on what's actually happening. And all these 10-kilometer earthquakes that are happening, Gene Decode is really good. Listen to on that on BitChute. You know, what are the chances you'd have all these 10-kilometer earthquakes happening all around the globe at the same time? Smoke coming out from the streets, the sewer system in California, Washington, D.C., that happened as well. What are the chances here? You know, maybe it's time that we listen to some alternative news from these whistleblowers and people on the ground. So that's kind of how I've seen the game going, at the point where, you know, the alliance has a lot of leverage and a lot of power, and the economic reset, but the old power structures have been around and so entrenched and have so many people blackmailed. It's a challenge, but I know that good in the end will prevail. I see no signals to fear from my higher self or from God to that I should fear anything. And some of the dreams I had last year were to not say fear, but be prepared. And I don't see that so much anymore. I see really, really good things happening for the planet. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start getting into these readings. And I'm also going to link several other resources for you to watch. Dana Coverstone had some dreams and revelations. Magenta Pixie had some revelations. And Brad Johnson. These are all intuitives. And Dana Coverstone is an intuitive Christian pastor, and they have their intuition, as well as maybe some whistleblower shows as well. Okay, so here we're going to get started. These are messages I received from Spirit within the last 30-day period. Now, this first one was in early February. So this one is a little dated, but I'm going to read it too because it was good and it's still relevant. You are currently in the process of creating a world of tremendous abundance for yourself, your friends, your family, and many others around you. Okay, so that's for me personally. But many other souls, I think, are joining me in this. This is a spiritual walk from here on out, and one in which sacred spirits will be assisting you. We are all focused on planet Earth's alignment now. There is much joy and abundance, which will be yours very shortly. Nothing can or will stop that. The Q operation, a lot of people want to say, is Q a psyop? Is Q just complete bullshit? What is Q? Well, you know, it's about time. It's about damn time that you guys start listening to what the intuitives say, because by and large, the intuitives have said that the Q operation is real. Yes, there's some psyop involved, some trickery involved with the Q operation, but by and large, it's real patriots in the military who do not want to see this planet being sucked into the vortex of hell that it has been and will continue to be if we let this crap continue. And he says, the Q operation has prevented much bloodshed, Yet we ask you why the dark aligned forces have worked so hard and not given up. It is because they must now wait 26,200 years in order to attempt this controlled manipulation again. And I believe that has something to do with the precession of the planet. And the last time this happened was around the time of Atlantis and the Great Flood. And so this is a very important time on the planet. If I find a resource on that, I'll link to it. But this is a very important time in which, as Jesus says, the wheat must be separated from the chaff. You know, the wheat was able to grow along with the weeds for a long period of time so that we could spiritually grow from, these evil people that we've been alongside in this planet. And it's at that point where I can just feel it. I'm so sick of that. You know, I'm so ready for that chaff to just be burned up and that the smoke will fill the sky. And that references Dana Coverstone's Mud Dream is a must watch for you guys. So they're going to have to wait 26,000 years. This is important. They know they've lost. They are the rock climber who has slipped halfway down the mountain and is losing all resources and has no chance to climb back up. The frequency of the planet is changing rapidly and their power is evaporating. So they're just barely holding on to this mountain and they're about to fall off. There is an intuitive, I believe her name was Sonia Nagy, and I'll link to her as well, who is more of a financial, she actually has signed a non-disclosure agreement with the Alliance, so she gets inside information from the military. But she's also an intuitive, and she said that's the same thing she gets is that they're just clinging on. They're barely clinging on. So I think that's legit when you hear it from two intuitives. I got my message first, and then I heard hers just last week. This message is from over a month ago. The frequency, now how are they going to climb back up this mountain? They can't, because it says the frequency of the planet is changing rapidly and their power is evaporating. Okay, so now I want to mention something about gold and silver. I got intuition to invest in silver over 6 months ago, and so we've done that. But it's very important. Silver is God's money, and a lot of intuitives are talking about it. But now it's mainstream. People just are buying physical silver. The Reddit, Wall Street Silver, Wall Street Bets is blew up. Here, I got a message from Spirit about silver. It is inherent here that we discuss the current dilemma with the stock market. You will see and discover a fruitful reality only after the manipulation is cast away. That is estimated to occur within the next 2 to 3 month period. And I'm going to jump that forward since this was a month ago. Let's say that is estimated to occur within the next 1 to 2 month period. That being the stock market, fruitful reality manipulation is cast away within the next 1 to 2 month period. Runs on silver will occur to the extent possible. You've hedged your so basically people need to hedge themselves with silver or gold, and there are going to be runs on silver very soon once the dollar collapses and the stock market collapses with it. See if about the spring equinox. So what happens will still be a beneficial mystery that we cannot reveal. You're right to prepare food stores, as they'll pull out all the stops. They being the old power structures on the planet will pull out all the stops. But no, there's not going to be a China invasion. No, there's not going to be a zombie apocalypse. No, there's not going to be a Draco reptilian takeover. You just need to stay in a loving vibration and everything will be fine. But you should have some food. You should have some water. You should have ability to cook. You should have some silver, some gold stored away. If the currency collapses, you're not going to have anything resources to buy anything if you don't have precious metals. Okay. Now, here's what he said about the summer. The summer is your time to harvest the seeds you're planting now. So that's in general, I think, for all of us. We're planting seeds now, and those seeds are for the new earth. So that's exciting. Now, this message was just recently, last week, I received this message specifically for the spring equinox. Okay. You will see and discover many ramifications of the current level of existence in the coming weeks. Pain must be felt on all levels from all those in any state of psychic conflict, for these energies will not be allowed to remain in their discovery phase for any longer period of time once the equinox arrives. So it's saying that once the equinox arrives, anybody who has any state of psychic conflict in yourself, something that's not resolved, is going to get worse. It needs to be resolved before this equinox arises. This spring is about renewal, but first, discovery must exist regarding all negative consequences for individuals and their families. This may feel very cutthroat, but it is essential. If a sickness exists, sometimes a vomiting or purging process is required before healing can begin. That is very intensely painful for many souls, but it need not be in your case, in my specific case. For you are fully awake now, and you have diligently purged yourself regarding the awareness of the children suffering underground, along with other historic ills your planet has suffered. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time. I have, but you have to understand, I'm an intuitive, and I got dreams about these children underground in July of 2020. So I felt that pain. Nyla Nguyen, in April of 2020, put out videos of, and I saw the raccoon eyes and the little children, and I knew that it was legit. And me and my wife just cried. We've processed a lot. There's times I had random thoughts about it, and then I started crying. And it's not easy, but I guess there's something in the tears, dude, that purges crap out of us. We're all at different levels. We may have never really done anything to hurt children, but still, it's still painful because we're feeling, to some degree, their pain. And a lot of people are not going to be able to process that. A lot of people who don't know anything about it, but it's hard. It's really hard what's going to be coming out about the children. Okay, let me get on along with this. Now, once that has passed, this purging, vomiting, to whatever degree, based on the individual, once that has passed, the spiritual uplift will occur much as a spring flower rises from the dew. This renewal and rebirth will be especially strong on your planet. You will feel an uplift and ascension to a newer vibration that feels more alive than at any point in your previous life. That is because it will be the truth of your reality. Not all, and it's stressed, not all souls will feel this. It is important that we stress that a very violent time for some souls is a very peaceful, relaxing, and spiritual process for others. This is the separation of the wheat from the chaff. Their insides, speaking of the chaff, people who have not resolved their pain, their conflict, They're not as spiritually evolved, growing in that way. Maybe they've hurt other people. Their insides will literally be burning up in a spiritual metaphorical process, which will leave some at the brink of suicide and others sick physically from days or weeks. At that point, for those souls, they will either have to ascend or they will struggle for their very existence. Substitutions such as alcohol will not deaden the pain they are feeling. There's no more of that. Alcohol, drugs to deaden the pain. Now, once all souls are connected again, which would occur after that, a spiritual uplift begins, which enables a rich engagement of healing, peace, and tranquility, with no unnatural divisions moving forward. So I want to read that again. That's pretty cool. Once all souls are connected again, a spiritual uplift begins, which enables a rich engagement of healing, peace, and tranquility, with no unnatural divisions moving forward. So unnatural divisions, I say race, gender, sexual orientation, class, culture. No unnatural divisions. We are all connected. So no unnatural divisions moving forward. To that degree, one night I got intuition that there were Native American women who were from like native tribes in the future, and they were humbling themselves before white males such as me, Trump supporters and the patriots. They were humbling themselves before us, not in a subservient way, but in a respectful way. And it was actually in a healing way where we were coming together, because those kinds of divisions, separated by race, is separated by culture, separated by political affiliation typically, and it's just different. But I got that, and so I was trying to unpack that a little bit, and I think for one thing, the Native American cultures are going to be much more highly respected in the future. So that's a given. That is our root. That's cultural roots. Those native societies from around the world, not just America. But then you look at the patriots and what the patriots have done to help free this planet, and I can see why that respect is there. Other cultures, there have been misled a long period of time. And then the last thing is, so no unnatural divisions moving forward. Marry this with the occurrences of the plan on the planet, including financial freedom, and it gives foundations for a fruitful summer. Again, back to the summer that we're going to be planting seeds, and we're going to be planting seeds in the spring, and then we're going to be fertilizing them and watering them in the summer. Okay, so that answers a lot of questions. And I had originally divided it up to ask Spirit, what should patriots focus on? What should socialists focus on? What should people of color focus on? And please address the divisions like LGBT and BLM and cancel culture. Oh my goodness, my daughter had a experience on Roblox. People were coming up and asking her, "Are you LGBT?" And she's not lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, so she said no. And then they proceeded to say, "You should go kill yourself." And this is something that's happening to young kids, and it's just a lot of divisions going on in the schools. And then you've got BLM on the Grammys threatening to burn down the country. Although I don't give much credence to that because it's all manufactured. The ratings in the Grammys are crazy low. Nobody's watching it anyway. And cancel culture, which is kind of canceled itself now, which is interesting. Address the mass. But no, we're not going to do that. Not going to address those divisions because they're going to fall off. What we do instead is we're in this place to build the new earth together collectively, a beautiful place. So the old world, we just let it fall off. Like the Grammys, instead of getting all worried that, people, BLM's going to go burn the country down, just let it all just fall off. Like nobody's watching the Grammys. Just let that. That's the old energies of the planet. We're in the age of Aquarius now. We're in the new energies of the planet, and we're going to build that new earth instead. So to that degree, before I want to share a dream with you guys before we end, but I want to reference first Dana Coverstone's mud dream, in which he had a dream from spirit, which is very similar to what we're going to have. These barking dogs barking after people to make you feel bad, to make you feel guilty, and to make you feel ashamed of yourself, and to make you afraid. And that's important because those are lower chakra energies, lower energy center energies of guilt and fear. To build that new earth, you need to be in the higher chakras and energy center of love, peace, joy, abundance, and feel that and visualize that. And God will, and ask for that, and God will give you that in your dream state. Yes, you need to have some food and water. You need to have some emergency food supplies, but you don't need to be afraid of that. Sonia Nagy, an interview with Nicholas Viniaman about the new financial system, and it's so exciting. And that's what I'm going to talk about in my dream in a minute. Magenta Pixie about the new earth and the old earth energies. So I'm going to provide a link to all these people. Brad Johnson about the cosmic administration, some of the things happening on the planet. And I guess that's pretty much it, and let me just address something related to intuitives and these channelers, because I heard it today. This person who interviewed the whistleblower, and the whistleblower was killed shortly thereafter. He was an Area 51 whistleblower, and he was talking about the Seacar Draco. Those are the ones that have the tails. The hybrids do not have tails, but he was talking about that, and she, being an intuitive, said, "Oh yes, I know about the Seacar." Well, the point is, there's only so many whistleblowers who even have a memory recall, and there's less and less of them once they come out and then they get killed. Okay, so it becomes imperative now with this media. You've got the media blowing smoke over here, complete total bullshit. And over here, you've got the patriots. Well, some of the patriots are not intuitive. Some of them fight with each other, and they're well-intentioned. And even some of the military, ex-military patriots, most of them are fantastic, but some of them fight internally. We really can't be doing that. We need to all become intuitive, because we all are intuitive. We really are. Some of us are more advanced levels than others, but it's so easy now to get dreams. God is ready to give you beautiful dreams about the future. You have to be open to receive those. So open your heart to receive that information, and I believe you will. One of the things that helps with that, I take it every night, is atomic ormus, a liquid gold, and that's good stuff. You can buy it. I need to find a different source because I don't want to support Amazon anymore. But atomic ormus is really good. It helps you become more creative, and it helps you enliven your dream state. Now, speaking of dreams, I'm going to end on this. This is a dream that I received. I call it the Chinese door. And I'm just going to read what I got. This was a week ago. So this dream was either on the 6th of March or the 7th of March. The interesting thing with that date was that Wano Sabin was saying that between the 4th and the 6th, there was a big event in D.C. There were a lot of VIPs that were in D.C., and Trump was there as well for some reason. They don't know why. Well, I don't know if this is connected, but I do know that right after that, either on this night of the 6th or the night of the 7th, I had this dream, and I call it the Chinese door. And I had a dream in which I was in a very nice ancient house complex in China. I was there for a very important negotiation and agreement. Now, this agreement was signed among the parties in one of the rooms of the complex. It was a very important accord. Now, once the agreement was signed, there arose a thunderstorm. And I don't know, I had the feeling and the energy that Trump was there, or definitely a military alliance from the United States was there, but it was with the Chinese, ancient Chinese. They were ancient, powerful, wealthy Chinese. And so I believe that to be the dragon family, or families of the dragons. Now, it was very important accord. Once the agreement was signed, then my attention shifted to the middle of the house, which was kind of like a foyer in this. I'll talk about this door. There arose a thunderstorm and windy rain outside of the house. In the center of the complex, the front door to the outside world was open, and rain was getting in. I first looked to see whether it was a hurricane, but it became, because I was like, wow, this could be really bad. But it became clear that there was only a little rain in the house, so it was more of a precautionary measure. Now, it's kind of like the signature in the one room triggered the storm after that and blew the door open. The door itself was wooden, intricately carved wood, and it looked very old, yet in excellent, beautiful condition. The hardware and the locking mechanisms were all wooden. Once the door was closed, which I was able to close the door, I was the one closing the door, my attention, in other words, the hurricane, it wasn't a hurricane. I first examined, I had a thought, is this a hurricane? And then I looked on the floor and I saw there's not a whole lot of rain coming in. So I better close the door. But it wasn't to the extent that this is a terrible storm or something. It was just like, let's just close the door. Let's just close the door as a precautionary measure. That's the feeling that I got. Now, once the door was closed, my attention drifted to the third room. And there, I equated the signing of the accord to a party which would occur 45 minutes after the signing. This waiting period prior to celebration was important, but I was aware that this translated to 45 days in the real world after the accord was signed. Now, this would appear to be around April the 23rd or so, April 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around there, 2021. Now, the agreement appeared to be signed between the American alliance, as I said, the military, and the ancient Chinese dragon families, and the celebration to follow appeared to be a debt jubilee. This part is just my assumption. The waiting period appeared to be due to needing to brace or hold fast due to the storm. And the storm appeared to be a reaction to the signing of the accord and was originally expected to be much worse. It was the old power structures who had, once the accord was signed, it was a really good thing for planet Earth, this accord between these two power brokers, the American military being one of the most powerful forces on the planet, and the ancient Chinese dragon banking families with all this ancient gold from antiquity that is stored up, and also not wanting to. This is not the Chinese Communist Party. This is the ancient dragon families who have been, I don't know another way to say it, shysted, bamboozled by these old power structures out of a lot of their money. And but they believe in patriots, they believe in the military, and they had to come to terms. And that agreement that was signed, there was going to be a period and a huge party in that third room, but it couldn't happen until, and it translated to 45 days. So, and the storm appeared to be a reaction to the signing and was originally expected to be much worse than it was. But the ancient house held the storm back well. And I believe the reason for that is because the old power structures have been so weakened by the destruction of the DUMBs and other things that were put in place by the Trump administration and other administrations, other we the peoples on other countries that are also fighting the old power structures of the planet, have really weakened them. And so, yeah, although we are, a lot of people are in fear. I don't think it's warranted. I don't sense that. I really don't. We need to be vigilant. We need to be very vigilant. We need to be in prayer, because God is really in charge. This 26,200 year cycle is basically up now. The chaff will be burned into the sky, and I don't really know what else to say. I'll share the links that I can. I'm at peace. I'm at peace with everything. I feel incredibly at peace when you have a little bit of silver, a little bit of gold, a little bit of even copper. The price of copper is going through the roof. These are all good investments, God's money at the time. And I really feel people who have nothing to do with faith or with Christianity, or with other religions or any kind of spirituality, are becoming spiritual, because they're like, what the fuck is going on this planet? I don't know what to do. Can God save me? I definitely, having served in government, I would never tell anybody to trust the government to be your savior. I've seen so many levels of corruption that I had to leave. I certainly don't think you should look to any kind of savior, even in the Q operation is not your savior. President Trump is not your savior. We are our own savior. Rely on yourself. What can you do in your local community? And don't think it's nothing. Don't think it's nothing. We are powerful, spiritual beings of light, more powerful than you realize. And prayer. And I was listening to these patriots talking about, well, what are you doing? Well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're just sitting around, like, they need to go get their shotguns and march on the Capitol or something. Well, how'd that work on January 6th? You do not need to do that. You need to realize that this is a spiritual battle of epic proportions that is beyond just our planet. If you really understood all of what's happening right now, you would probably shit yourself. This is big. This is really big, not just on our planet, maybe not even just in our galaxy. This is a big part of a huge spiritual battle between good and evil. We are winning, and on a higher level, our spiritual allies, our star family, that's shining down on us, that's giving us this intuition, it's working with angels on these dreams and this intuition and channeling and all this telepathy. All this is real stuff, and they are not afraid. They are happy. They are rejoicing. And my personal belief is that Jesus is one of those. He is a being. He's higher, very higher dimensional being, and he certainly has God flowing through him. But that's what I believe, and that Jesus is in a large way responsible for this planet, and will probably be the one that burns up the chaff. Now, do we have to watch for any kind of misleading trickery? Probably. What would they try to fake an alien invasion or even use technology to fake Jesus returning, but it's a fake and he's somehow the Antichrist or something trying to manipulate us. All I can tell you is this is where, and I have a video of the difference between intuition and intellect. If you're not a person that is heavy on your intuition, I'm going to try to find a link from Greg Braden about the heart, brain coherence and intuition, because it's really quick, but it's very, very powerful. Intuition, you can never go wrong. You don't have to guess when you tap your heart and you say, you close your eyes, you take a minute to do a gut check yourself. You can always make amazing creative decisions, and you don't be in your head. You'll be forever confused. That's what the old power structures rely on, is that to confuse your head, to get you thinking, to get you an ego and all this low vibration crap. That's going to get you destroyed and going to get your family destroyed. Make smart decisions, stay in God's stream, and you'll be fine. Love you guys. God bless. And I'll try to see you all before the summer solstice. I want to be doing more and more of this stuff. So